Well, good evening, good evening, good evening, and good evening, and welcome and thank you so much for joining me this evening on Talking Sip Saturday night. And thank you for those on YouTube, thank you for those on Facebook, thank you for those on Instagram, yes, Instagram, and the overflow on TikTok. And of course, for TikTok, in order to actually come in on the show, you can actually join straight by going on to the YouTube channel as well. Yep, you can do that as well. Go on to the YouTube channel, Silburn TV. And yes, this is Saturday night, Saturday, the 4th of the 5th, 2024. And we're going to have a very interesting topic tonight. Topic tonight is going to be about real estate developments in Jamaica. And firstly, what are you drinking? What are you drinking? Well, I have a little concoction here, a little mix up of some stuff. You can tell me what you're drinking. If you're in the Caribbean or so, Crystal Punch or whatever. This is a mix up with some juices. I call it Ochoria Special. As I just came back from Ochoria Special as well. And then at the same time, I have a bottle of Merlot as well, just to touch. And if you want to join in as well, you can tell me what you're drinking as well. Listen, one of the very interesting thing also, I got to say this because I'm actually looking at the news as well. We are seeing some really some developments in the UK. I don't know if those following the UK and what's happening. You have Mr. What's his name? Sadiq Khan has been retained as the mayor of London. I have no comments on that. And Mr. Andy Street has been removed from Birmingham as the mayor of Birmingham, West Midland. A massive upset against the Conservative. I mean, it's like one is looking at it and say, might as well a Conservative just call the next election or just say, pack it in. Because all the swings are going towards Labour at this point. 14 years of the Conservative Party. And I think the signs are on the wall to say that it's time's up. Well, they always say sometimes a day in politics can make a big difference. And of course, the general election is going to be in November. At the same time, the general election is going to be also in for America. It's going to be, I believe, in November as well. And for Jamaica, I think it's 2025 as well. So, that's what's going to happen. Now, last week I had a very interesting guest last night. I had Gore and Simabol, this racing duo, which was on the show last week, and let me see. There's some update here. Gore and Somerville. It was such a memorable weekend in Oxford, supporting the talented reggae race superstars, and here they are. Yep, reggae race. Reggae racers Tommy Gore and Senna Somerville as they made their debut at the Adapt GT4 German Masters. This powerful Audi machine was literally Jamaican firepower on the wheels, firepower on the wheels. And, the expert control of the car by both drivers kept us on the edge of our seats as they patiently unleashed the car's capacity bit by bit, but keeping some power in reserve. Everything will get more and sometimes even more brighter, but you have been there on the race day to feel these engine. German fans celebrate Jamaica being at the race as Gale. Translate to cool hot. These talented drivers are no underdogs, so the energy and the fan base grows race after race. So yeah, support the two duos, Gore and Somerville, as well as the supporting Jamaica and all positive Jamaica. What's the easiest way to do a pull-up? Somebody asked me what's the easiest way to do a pull-up. All you got to do is just do a pull-up. Just do a pull-up. If you want to do a pull-up, just pull it right up. But listen, on a serious note, I was in Jamaica over the past 2 weeks now. I can say I was in Jamaica, and straight from once I went onto the airport there in Montego Bay, the biometrics, everything was super duper. Everything flowed very well. It was awesome. The only thing which was very concerning, quickly concerning, was when we couldn't find our daughter and on the system, and they said, where is it? And they said, oh, it's no problem, it is a way of dealing with child trafficking, and all these sort of things. So therefore it made sense in a way that we had to actually go to the immigration person and just show that we are with our daughter. But otherwise than that, everything went smooth sailing. Then went out of the airport, bam, got the what do you call it, the Wi-Fi. Boom, brother was there to pick us up. Easy sailing, no big deal, And on the way to Ochurius, of course, it was late, but smooth sailing as well. And the next morning, what I did, I got up and I walked through Ochurius. And over the period of time while I was there, I could see a lot of developments which was going on. I went into Kingston at the diaspora launch, a lot of development. Someone said that Jamaica is like a massive construction site, or rather, I believe they say Kingston was or is a massive construction site. And so lots of developments over there, lots of houses being built, lots of gated community, Draxall and everything. But someone said to me, and some young people were saying to me, they said, Uncle, one of the things that we have real concerns about is we can't actually buy these properties. Yeah, we cannot actually get on the ladder. And with the NHT and all those sort of things, with 7 million, they don't believe they're going to be able to get hold of it and get on top of it as well. So therefore, that seemed to be a somewhat issue. But I cannot help but just to say, on a positive nature, how beautiful things look, how positive stuff look, and the wonderful buildings which are being built up. But somehow there seem to be somewhat of an underbelly, if anything, of persons not able to actually tap into things. And Jamaica has seen significant growth and investment in its real estate sector in recent years, where there are some real estate, notably estate developments in Jamaica, like and I did some sort of research, like the Ritz-Carlton residence, Montego Bay luxury residential development offers upscale beachfront living with world-class amenities. Sugar Beach, Jamaica, Palmyra Resort and Spa, located in the historic town of Rosal. Palmyra Resort and Spa offers luxury condominiums, Port Ferdinand Marina, and luxury residence. This exclusive marina development in Ochurius offers waterfront homes, villas, and penthouse with access to a private yacht, club and marina, Royal Plantation Estates, St. Anne, Trelawney Estates, the Palms of Richmond Estate. Why do I keep saying estate, estate, estate? It sounds like a something of the era, of the colonial era. We like to say estate and plantation. I guess maybe something authentic about it or something like that. But it's sort of trying to keep and trying to capture the essence of the past. I don't know. I'm just thinking about it as I keep seeing these here. Palms at Richmond Estate, Bogue Village, Mandeville Heights, residential development in Mandeville offers affordable housing, New Kingston as a commercial and financial hub. These are just a few examples of the diverse range of real estate development taking place in Jamaica, creating to various preferences and lifestyle. Now, that's very interesting and that is very powerful. Let me just say hi to you, Rika, logged in and ready like Freddy. What are the startup costs and requirements need to get started? Yeah, that's the interesting thing. Let's see if we can get some answers later. And also, thanks for those joining in on Instagram as well. Uh, Big up Mags just for today, and also on TikTok, Lekayla's, and all those persons there. The other thing also, which I was thinking about as well, and and this one is very interesting. This one is very interesting. It's about, like, is there affordable housing initiatives for persons as well, for persons to get on the ladder, is the government putting things in place for that? But I'm not going to keep talking too much, because what I want to do is to talk to persons on the rock. Yeah, let's talk to persons on the rock. It makes I'm not going to get into me elaborating and talking as if I know it all. I'm going to talk to persons on the rock. I'm going to talk to Raymon Treasure, principal of York Castle High School, school which I went to, classmate. I'm trying to say, and I find that very interesting. And also, I'm going to speak to Roger Allen, who is the second VP active member of Realtors and Association of Jamaica (RAG), um, and also maybe I have other persons after, and also and Roger Allen. I keep saying Andrew is his brother. We're all schoolmates. Roger also is a classmate as well. And but I want to go straight into it without further ado. And the first segment is going to be let's discuss in this whole issue, and then the second segment I will have other guests that come in to sort of look at overview, and of course persons on the side or can make your comments, and we can see how that goes as well. So let's invite Sir Roger Allen. How are you doing, sir?
Hi, Silver, and hi, viewers, listeners. I'm good here in
Yeah,
Jamaica.
you're good. Yeah, that's awesome. How is Jamaica now? Sunny beach, hot.
Yes, well, wherever else you go in the world, up north or wherever you are, you have four different seasons. We know about summer, 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 summer. So
Yes.
it's summer for us.
The funny thing about it is when I came back from Jamaica on the
I hope you
17th.
don't mind. I'm just taking a
Oh,
little sip.
yeah, oh yeah. Sorry. So what are you drinking? What are you drinking? What are you drinking,
Just a
Roger?
little wine to mellow. Just a little white wine.
A wine to mellow. Oh, I like that. I like that. I like that. When I came back to the UK on the 17th of um the 16th, yeah, I came back on the 16th of April. The first thing that I saw was hail and rain. you know, and a few days before that, I was there in Ocho walking. I was walking with even Andrew, your brother. Walking up to, we walked all the way up to Duns River Falls. You know what I'm saying?
What a difference, eh?
You know, and actually, it's the first time people are saying to me that I'm actually sweating.
Wow.
So that was awesome. But listen, let's get straight into it. You see, this is the topic which Raymond is going to come on shortly. The topic which I have there is about real estate developments in Jamaica, and it's a massive thing now because even when we went to the diaspora launch, talk about investment, come people, diaspora people from overseas come and invest. There's a massive move in Jamaica. People are saying that Jamaica is like a construction site, or rather, Kingston is like a construction site, and you're with the real estate. So, what is happening? What is this essence? What is this great development going on?
I think what it is, Silburn, is that Jamaica years ago, through eras like Sanson and otherwise, we're always being told we're one of the jewels of the Caribbean, that sort of thing. I think in terms of the efforts by my colleagues, by my industry, and the government as well to spur investment, a lot of our work has paid off. I am proud to be part of a 1,600 member organization that's growing from month to month, the Realtors Association of
Yes.
Jamaica. One of the things we have done is to ensure that our members are ethical and competent industry practitioners, because one of the things that a country needs when you have external investors, especially when you're looking at real estate, who are the persons transacting, doing business on my behalf? Yes, the government will set certain things in place in terms of incentives for investment, reduce bureaucracy, red tape where needed. But at the end of the day, they need persons who know what they're doing, who are ethical at what they're doing, competent and professional at what they do. And of course, it also helps where we are in the Caribbean with a year-round, climate, temperature, and what Jamaica has to offer in terms of communications, infrastructure. All of these things, have assisted along the way.
Yeah. So tell us about the real estate board in Jamaica, and the level of regulation, and the level of, what should I say? Is it something which is being effectively used as a monitoring tool, or it is just there as a, should I say, ceremonial, if anything?
I want to stand. I want to stand on right here, so to speak, and commend our regulators, the Real Estate Board and
Yeah.
Commission of Strata Corporations, which is chaired by Andrew James.
Yeah.
Andrew is a former president of the Realtors Association of Jamaica. He was placed in that role by the government. You know, the prime minister is actually our portfolio minister. And,
Okay.
you know, there was a lot on this plate in terms of managing a regulatory body with a lot that's happening in Jamaica. So I would say this: regulation is needed, not the industry is growing in terms of the number of persons that are going to, be doing the certification courses and the
Mm,
licensing courses by the real estate board. You also have more players in terms of developers that need to be screened. So basically, there are checks and balances, to do conduct report on antecedents on individuals coming on as developers, and also us
mm,
real estate practitioners, whether it's a realtor associate who is a regular real estate agent, or like myself, a broker,
yeah.
basically, who has oversight for them. And let me say this: every year we have to have our license renewed. And we must understand that real estate, the real estate sector globally, it's where it is considered as where it's targeted for persons to move illicit funds. Now, I'm not
Mm,
saying that is happening here, but what the government has done here basically is to ensure that Jamaica is as compliant as best can be in terms of global expectation standards. Ever so often, we have to file periodic reports that are linked with the FID, Financial Investigative Division of the constabulary, the police force, and it's
mm,
all intertwined with Interpol, the FBI, and other global state agencies. So all of this is absolutely necessary, and I think it's because, in part, investors, persons looking on and saying, "Hey, there are checks and balances,
yeah.
there's regulation, there's oversight in Jamaica. I think we can do business there."
Yeah, that's very interesting. So therefore, what you're actually trying to say is that there's a high level of regulation, but of course, if there are persons in the real estate or anyone want to get in there, can they operate without the approval of the Realtors Association?
Um, Not quite. You are licensed by the
Mm,
real estate board as a as a salesman,
yeah.
and you're only licensed when there is a letter that's forthcoming from a broker which says, "John Brown, this who successfully completed the course, I'm requesting that they be attached to my agency, me being the qualifying dealer." So that is the step that is taken there. There, there are checks and balances. It's not something where persons can just enter like that. As it
Yeah.
pertains to the Realtors Association of Jamaica, I'm proud to tell you here that we account right now for about 96% of the licensed real estate practitioners, obviously licensed by the real estate board. We account for 96% of them. So that is telling, your listeners, your viewers, that there is confidence in the Realtors Association of Jamaica by the majority of persons who would have successfully completed their licensing regime with the
Yeah.
REB.
One of the things, as I said, which I saw when I came recently, I was down in Jamaica recently, was the massive amount of developments happening around. Was it fair of me to say when I said I don't know if a friend had said to me, Kingston is a construction site or Jamaica is a construction site. I don't know which one it leaned to. Was it Kingston or Jamaica? What is the whole essence of this whole development, buildings and gated community? What's the drive? And how
All
can
right,
people?
all right,
Yeah. Mm,
all right. I will say this, Silburn. That is true in part. Not in part, that is true. Jamaica on a whole, but predominantly that led by Kingston. Um,
yes.
Somebody has jokingly said, not jokingly said to me, listen, what is happening? It's only 8, 9 years since I traveled and I'm getting lost. I'm lost. I'm lost. I'm
Mm,
lost in a city that I grew up in. I was looking for, Miss So and so house, sweet dear lady. And I said, I'm on the wrong road because he's seeing now a 8 or 9 story building there. He's looking to see our house, that sort of thing. So, yes, there's a lot that is happening there. Entrepreneurs, developers, as you call them, are seizing opportunity. What has been happening, especially as Kingston has mirrored it so much, is that persons are seeking every bit of available property, especially when the properties are in excess, especially of 10, 11,000 square feet of land, and
Yes.
obviously to um, well, let me not say flip the property, but for the most part, ideally, they would remove a single family dwelling, or, if it's bare bones. And before you know it, gated community, residential gated community is going up, or a commercial plaza or strip is going up right there.
And when this is happening now, there's a massive sort of encouragement, or enticing people to buy these properties. But what we see is that a lot of enticement is for overseas, or for people from the diaspora, to buy these properties. And some are saying is also these properties are being bought up by those who are well off, and turning them into Airbnb. Somewhat, it is flushing out the, or not making it attractive for the civil servant, teachers, and persons who really get on the ladder.
Let me say this, variables like that, it's market driven. Wherever
Mhm.
you go in the world and you engage the services of a land, or of a valuation surveyor, evaluator.
Mhm.
Basically, what that valuator is doing in accordance with his profession, as a commissioned person, primarily by the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, what he or she is doing is basically calculating the market value of the property, or in other words, what the market will likely pay for that property.
Yes.
So it's a supply and demand based
Fact.
equation. There is high demand for properties in Jamaica, particularly in the capital. We will tell you that years ago, a property that my client wanted and never bothered, he wanted to sell. And I can give you specifics. In 2018, he wanted to sell that property for 28, 29 million. Couldn't, there was a bit of resistance. Now in 2023, 5 years later, he's getting offers of 48 to 52 million for the same property, right? Supply and demand. And what am I saying in this? You list the property, and the property at the time was listed for about 40 44, 45 million, 44.5 million.
Yeah.
So you have at least, listen to this, you have 9 offers that exceed the asking price.
Mhm.
And the higher range of those offers that exceed the asking price range from 48 to 52 million. So what can we say about that?
Mhm.
It's market driven. What can I say in terms of the vendors, the sellers of the property? They are very happy because as realtors, we would have delivered above expectations where our clients are concerned. And it
Yes.
is no secret that persons, Jamaicans and others overseas in the diaspora, and non-Jamaicans who like Jamaica, they may have traveled here on vacation, or you name it, being fascinated with the Bob Marley's music, or Usain Bolt, seeing pictures, videos of Jamaica through the tourist board and all of that. Kudos to our tourism minister and everyone. They have an interest in Jamaica. So guess what? When they look at the maths, and and they're saying that what is 48 million basically in US, and they're going to say, oh my, that's give or take 320,000. And
Mhm.
they're going to say, I'll gobble up that property. It's in the capital. We're in the capital, in my neck of the woods. I'd be paying 750,000 upwards for that.
Yeah.
So it's a no-brainer for them.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So therefore, the people who are benefiting a lot then from these property are the realtors, are the developers, as much as possible. What about
The
now
vendors, don't forget the
the
vendors.
vendors, the vendors, because there's a lot of property which are being built up in Jamaica, and I believe that it's great. I think it is fantastic.
True, absolutely. On one side
Yeah,
of the coin, yes.
yeah. But how does the people then feel now, those on the lower strata, in getting onto this particular? Do you is it that there is ways how they can actually come in, like the nurses, the teachers, civil servants? Are they being priced out? Are they being looked after? Or is just market?
Okay. I like two of your comments, and I
Yeah,
hope our viewers are listening and seeing everything. You ask if they are priced out, or basically if they're being looked after, taken care of.
mm,
Very good. And I'll say this. um, I would be very careful in saying price up, because
mm.
as again I'm saying, it's a market.
Yes,
I
exactly.
can tell you that there is a teacher, I don't need to call the name, a lovely husband and wife couple in the corporate area, and basically they felt a bit hurt. And what were they hurt over? A fellow teacher at the same school where one of them is employed, so they are colleagues at the same school. Um, they wanted to buy the property from them, but the owner, the vendor, the teacher, decided to place it on the open market.
Mm,
So they thought they would get the property for about 33 million. But here is the thing: the person sold the property for about 46, 47 million. Market.
market force.
Market. So
Yeah.
who do you blame there? You are selling your property, and why are you going to accept 33 million when you can get 48 now? Because at the end of the day, you still have yourself to take care of, as you do with your family. You also have children who are in school, going off to university, that sort of thing. So again, that's there. But let us go to the other side of your comments or your
Yeah.
question and say, who is taking care of them? Listen, it's an open it's open knowledge, not an open secret, that with the high demand for properties, in Jamaica, especially the corporate era, and not to not to discount our second city, Montego Bay, and the environments.
Mm.
Do you know that during the 2-year COVID period, do you know that when speculators were there looking for cheap properties, guess what? They had a rude awakening. The property values maintained the values throughout COVID, and in some instances they're even higher, because guess what? There was increased interest. People are saying COVID is not going to be forever, but my land will be there until the good Lord makes his return.
Mm,
So
mm,
basically, persons were very much aware of this and said, I will wait if persons don't want to pay that price now. There was development taking place in Jamaica by leading companies during the height of COVID.
yeah.
And I'm talking about not the refurbishing of a house, but you're talking major developments across the corporate area and elsewhere in Jamaica.
Mm. Somebody just asked a question here that what are, because we're talking about costs and we're talking about all these different properties. Is like, what are the startup costs and requirement needed to get started? But before we go there, I remember like the places like in Portmore when they build these houses with it spaced out, and then when you go to Portmore now, you see all these massive mansions because they're built around them. Are properties being built like such that can cater to the similar to like Portmore, where it can be built up eventually, or everything is now being concentrated into gated communities as much as possible?
Certainly, where developers are concerned, they have concepts similar to that, but of course, it's really for the open market. So I could, for example, say, look at, I'm sorry, Ocean Point. I need another say, Ocean Point.
Mm.
In the Lucy area of Hanover. You could mention others where persons build, modest, attractive bungalow type, 2, 3 bedroom units, and in no time they are sold out. You have, for example, the government, the prime minister recently announced, I think it was 600 to 700 homes, basically more or less for civil servants in the Clarkstone era. Now, that is an era not many persons would have remembered, that's where, Westwood is. And
Yeah.
so what we're saying here is that we need a bit more of that because persons need to enjoy a piece of the pie. I know Raymond isn't yet on, but I know that he runs a quality institution. He's a class act in terms of principal. Let me
Mm.
say this about our former schoolmate. But
Yeah.
one of the things he's very passionate about is that when he's attracting some of the best and brightest teachers from
Mm.
across the length and breadth of Jamaica, he wants to know that when they're in St. Ann and they're there, they're focused and are not concerned about where am I going to rent and
Yes.
eventually where am I going to purchase in terms of affordable housing. So these
Mm.
are some of the things, yes, we can actually discuss.
Yeah. Let's go to the question now. What are the startup costs, for argument's sake, to get, this is Rika. Maybe a private question there to a certain extent, but generally, what are the startup costs requirement needed to get started to get on the property ladder, effective property ladder in Jamaica with these Airbnbs and these not Airbnbs, but these gated communities, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 1 bedroom family houses or so.
Depending where you are, for example, I have seen this from my research that in the corporate era now, rental prices in what not in non-peak periods, you're talking unfurnished 2 bedrooms, 2 bathroom units. You're looking at, let me use US because you're looking at somewhere, given the condition and location and place, you're looking at somewhere in the region of $1,200 in terms of rental. As it
Yes.
pertains to, and what you're seeing to is that those same 2 bedroom units, depending where it is, depending the features, amenities, and all, you are likely, not likely, you're paying upwards of, I would say, 250,000, that ballpark. It's a certain range there, depending where you go for a sort of solution like that. If it's going to be a premium gated community, then you're more looking at prices that are going to be now 300, upwards of 300,000, depending where it is. Certainly, if it's on the sea, that sort of thing, well, that's going to be a whole different price point. But
Yeah.
that's what you see, depending where you go, depending what is being offered, location and other known real estate market variables.
Let me just check if Raymond is around. Raymond, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
Greetings, Silbern, greeting
Yes.
Roger, and your guests who are on at this time. Greetings to you all.
Yes, yes. But thank you for coming on. And ladies and gentlemen, Raymond Treasure is the principal of York Castle High School. Well, he's our principal. we
Indeed.
all, we're all from York Castle High School. This is a York Castle zone tonight.
I want to say a disclaimer too. I think he was the most disciplined of all of us. Let's just say that for the
Yeah,
record.
yeah. He was the most
Amen.
disciplined of all of us. No detention or nothing like that, right, Raymond?
You'll be surprised.
No?
Remember, we were coming from St. Anne's Bay Primary, Roger, North
Oh
Coast
yes.
boy.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes.
Yes.
Yes. My lips are now sealed, sir. My lips
Okay. We don't
are.
wake up. Don't wake up Sterling, isn't it? But listen, Raymond. The topic here, which is the property real estate developments in Jamaica, and why I wanted to bring you on as you're from the as a principal and dealing with teachers and those from another level of persons who are trying to get on the ladder. When I was in Jamaica recently, we sat in your office and we had a long chat before we toured the school. What's your concerns, and how do you see it unfolding in a sense, especially with those on the lower level, um, and the prices of these properties?
Well, I wanted to add the tourism workers to that variable because it's
Yeah.
not just the civil servants. Add the tourism workers who are basically holding industry together, the tourism industry on the north coast as well. Well, the situation is, as Roger pointed out, there is a great demand for property on the north coast. And yes, in Kingston. And Kingston, you can understand because the bulk of our people, as soon as they have completed a degree, they kind of migrate to Kingston. In
Mm.
fact, what we shouldn't even say that. They remain in Kingston. And as a result, there's always going to be a demand for housing and so on in Kingston. The North Coast, though, over time, has basically created a huge demand as well for housing. And what we find is that our public servants and tourism workers, they are at this point in no position to own homes on the North Coast unless your parents probably had some property which you have inherited. So at this point, as Roger pointed out, those people would be enjoying a windfall. In fact, overnight you would be a millionaire because of the demand for property on the North Coast at this point. So I give you a scenario. Um, a recent developer in Discovery Bay started out a housing unit at about 17 million. Those units, after they were purchased by members of the diaspora and middle class Jamaicans, maybe from the urban setting, those houses are now selling for over 30 something million. It is the public servants, tourism workers were not able to afford those houses when they were going for 17 million, much less now that the demand has driven it to 34 million. Now, it is not just the houses.
Yeah.
That part of Discovery Bay that I am referring to, in the past, lands in that area probably would be going for about 4 million. And it would be possible for somebody to get an NHT loan.
4 million per what? 4 million per what?
Per say, per lot.
Yeah. Mm.
In
I
fact, you
got
could
to
get
be a
half
quarter
acre.
acre or land.
You could get half acre for 4 million
Yes, it's true. Yes.
a few years ago. You see, because of those developments, those lots are now going for 15 million. Lots which you would consider rural a few years ago. So even the lots around that in the past these people could purchase and put up maybe a two-bedroom, it is now out of their reach. So what you have going on is that the bulk of the tourism workers, line staff, they are squatters. Now, teachers and public servants may be a bit proud in a way and will not attempt to do that kind of thing. But that is the scenario we have down here that public servants can't afford because of the market
Mm.
and our hotel workers. And please understand that we have thousands of rooms going up, but they are basically squatters. So something has to be done to cater to our low income workers to make it possible for them to live in a legal way. And
Um,
You know.
even the rent, yes.
Yeah.
Silver, may I just add?
Yeah. Go ahead.
May I just add to that? So basically, for our viewers, what Raymon has said. So you started off a developer, and it's give or take 115,000 US for a unit starting price.
Mm.
And then in no time at all, those same units, the asking price has gone up to about 230,000. That's a 100% increase. Now, you have in and around the Discovery Bay area, in Centon, the North Coast, for some of our viewers who, may not be so, well, not Jamaicans, that is.
Mm,
There are larger parcels of land, and I'm talking in excess of 50, 100, 200 acres. What you think is being asked for those properties when you consider even a half acre, Raymond? Serious money. So here's
Yeah,
the thing about
yeah.
that. A developer typically, or actually, is not going to buy that and going to be targeting a certain the lower end of the income scale. I will say this again. The
mm,
government is the largest holder of land. So one of the things we have said in other real estate based settings, forums, and so is that the government would be the ones to take the initiative. Again, you are not on when I said the prime minister's announced one such thing in Clarkstown,
No,
but
man, I heard you. I was actually on. It's just that Silburn had me in a little room waiting.
oh,
So
okay,
I heard, I heard all.
yes.
So a good initiative, Roger, would be something similar to the Operation Pride, um, what you would say, project, because you would notice that at Bellear Meadows and Runaway Bay Meadows and so on, you see what civil servants have done there using lands which they got for a low cost. So, you are correct. We need initiatives like those in order to empower both the hotel workers
Mount
and
Edgecombe, Mount Edgecombe was one such community,
yes,
basically, and we're bearing in mind that at the time we had this exclusive Carnival community,
right,
back in its heyday, but
right,
the government at the time had the foresight to do a Mount Edgecombe. Now we
right.
need more of that in other parishes throughout the country because you cannot be we cannot say that we want to develop, world class high schools, world class resorts, world class hospitals, and all of that if you can't find housing, for the
surrounding
person.
areas
Yes. And
yeah.
I'll say this to you, gentlemen.
Mm,
Most of the Jamaicans that have migrated, it's not Jamaica's had its challenges, we know, with crime, that sort of thing. It has nothing primarily to do with crime. As Raymond and I said sometime before, it's the dignity of owning your own home. That
mm,
is at the crux of it. Persons want the ability to own their home. We could tell you the numbers of the persons in the diaspora who, after getting settled and, being there, they are the ones actively looking to own a piece of the rock where they couldn't have before, or if they were in a rural area, that sort of thing. They wanted to put something where
yeah.
they're from or otherwise. But housing is a
You're
very important
correct.
dynamic for the nation.
There is an article which came out today, and I just have it here, and where it is, and it is with upscale development driving Jamaica's Airbnb boom. And it said Pyramid Point housing development nestled in the hills above Otrius has emerged as a standout beacon of premium living, attracting members of Jamaica's diaspora, foreign buyers, along with local residents. That's what we're talking about, isn't it? The diaspora.
Yeah.
Is it diaspora? Well, I mean, the diaspora conference is coming up soon. Is the diaspora the savior, or they're actually making a difficulty there? Diaspora and foreign buyers, and along with local residents, is the diaspora becoming a somewhat a problem factor there by
Well,
not being
well, there are positives, There are positives. I mean,
yeah.
what is happening is that with the diaspora entering the market in this way, some rural communities that in the past we had given up on, and literally they were becoming ghost towns. Some of them are now seeing a revival because the truth is, some members of the diaspora are coming in, putting up their houses, find is for members of the diaspora to build and come home like 3 times for the year to holidays. So instead of going to hotels, a number of them are now staying in their homes. They are creating their own holiday homes, similar to what I guess was done in the 40s, 50s by the rich and famous. So that is also putting back some life in some deep rural communities, which for me is a plus. And it's something that we should encourage. So we don't want the diaspora to think that they're showing an interest in Jamaica is a bad thing. As
Mm.
Roger said, what is required is government's intervention because government is one of the largest landowners. So they must make
They are the
land
largest
available.
one.
Mhm.
And that's a brilliant point again, because at one point a lot of people were saying that um, Chinese, Spanish, and everybody's buying up Jamaica. The diaspora need to actually get on get on the track, and now the diaspora is getting on the track, buying up Jamaica now. Um, we're seeing. You're right. You're right. There's something which is coming out here, which is that things need to be balanced out. The government need to make an entry into the whole process and to help. Is that what you are saying there?
Let me say this, Silburn,
Yeah.
as somebody who is seen, it nationally over Jamaica.
Mm.
The diaspora, I want to commend them because successive governments have basically said to them, don't forsake our beloved Jamaica land we love.
Yes.
And they are pretty much there. I have persons in the diaspora saying, oh, you never tell me so and so happened. And they are listening to the radio stations online and telling me things real time and all of that. And to contextualize everything in terms of real estate, you could name Richmond as well that they're bought into. You could name Draxall, and you go right around the country. Discovery Bay, they're buying into it. They're buying into St. James, corporate area, you name it. So
Mm.
when Raymond speaks about the government, and as I've said, the largest landowner, somebody said to me, yes, you're doing developments at government that are geared towards, persons who would be NHT contributors, civil servants, hotels.
Yes.
I know even in terms of insurance, the tourism minister's even gone down that road. But the question was somebody said to me, are the intended recipients, are they the ones getting these announced development that government is doing through NHT and others? They said these are the questions that we must ask. I had to explain to somebody at the conference that the Realtors we had April 18 to 20 in Montego Bay. I had to say, listen, um, it is the what I don't blame a developer in this sense. They're paying top dollar for property, so they're looking to maximize the revenue or the earnings from that parcel of land that they're bought. And
Yes.
so they're not going to part company with something for 17 million when they can be getting 33, 35 million for it. It's pure maths, it's pure
and and
economics.
and and they're hearing rumblings, and they're hearing sounds, and they're hearing signs of what the market is like. Someone just said a while ago, bamboo is our area. That's in Brownstone side. What are the going prices for lots in surrounding areas like bamboo? I mean, has that been infiltrated by the increases yet?
Let me answer you. Let me answer you bluntly. And Raymond, remember discussion we had earlier this year. I've said in another forum from the past 2 years, with the opening of the full north-south highway,
Yeah.
no average person or no middle income person can afford property along that corridor from Ocherius extending all the way through Discovery Bay, Queens Highway. No ordinary person. So persons are now moving inwards. So the areas like areas like Money, Walkerswood, Claremont, Bamboo, Brownstone, they will be of interest. Why? Because they are, developed communities
Access.
there that has schools. There's light, there is water, and persons are saying, No different from the person who lives in Portmore, but is commuting, driving to Kingston every day where they work and the children go to school. So it's a bit of a no-brainer. So when you talk about infiltration, that has been happening because they know they can't afford the land there, so they're going to go further land. And so the government, as they, I'm not saying that they have announced some, but I should think in terms of Vision 2050 and all of these things.
You're going to Vision 2050, not 30.
Huh?
Did he say the Vision 2050? That's what he said. Vision
No,
2050.
we said Vision 2050 because you can't have a vision for 6 years from now. That's
Wow.
not feasible. That's too close.
Wow.
You have to be looking at least 20 years out.
Yeah, Vision 2030 is now deemed to be somewhat of a redundant thing now, isn't it?
It's a redundant thing.
Nobody's actually saying it, but in real terms, as you rightly say, 6 years from now.
Yes. But 6 years, you kind of look at it as an extension of a term in office. Yeah. But, to do, proper planning, spatial development, all of these things, you have to look at that. And as somebody said to me, he said, Roger, is what we call this development. And I said, let me be frank with you. I said, somebody you see doing a property, buying the property, developing it, selling it, basically. I said, that's an entrepreneurial opportunity. I said, we look at development above and beyond, a gated community, a commercial plaza, or a hotel going up. What we are looking at is to say, what is the effect on the rest of the country? What is the effect on the civil servants? What about the social services? You're going to put up something in a community that has, that community is going to have, let us say, over 1,000 homes. Let us talk about having police posts there, as part of others. So, light, water, can the persons there have affordable internet? Children need to be doing homework, that sort of thing. So there are a number of things that we're looking at there. Is there going to be bank shopping? All of these things close by. There are a number of things we have to look at.
Did you say anything about the prices? Based on a question, was the idea of prices for lots in surrounding areas like Bamboo?
If you're talking like Bamboo, Brownstone, and otherwise, I have to say to you what I've seen on the real estate grid, on our Realtors database, to confirm something that you're thinking, the prices have been going up. In some instances, they have been steadily and otherwise, and again, it's demand because persons would be aware. Raymon owns a property, I'm just saying hypothetically, but he's aware that his neighbor who has 200 acres just sold the property to one person, and then somewhere up the road, another property for 50 acres or less was bought by an outsider. So he's saying, there's interest in this community that was long forgotten. So whatever he was thinking of per acre or per lot for his property is gone up. A parcel of land that I was looking at for somebody, and I say this is Philadelphia, which is Jamaica, Philadelphia, between Brownstone and Bamboo. A year and a half ago, I'm talking 2 acres, we were looking at, the person wanted at the time somewhere in the region of 6 million, 5 point something, 6 million for it. Now, that lot and the lots, and then he withdrew it. But that lot and others as such, they are now reflecting price point. The 2 acres persons want 12, 15 million for them. That is what we're seeing.
So, yeah, someone asked a question. I just want to bring up this gentleman, Michael Macy. He's in the diaspora here in the UK. What is the Real Estate Board and Association doing to make sure developers, for example, Zakarina Development, complete Holland Estates gated community in Martha Brae near Falmouth?
All right. In terms, take the Realtors Association out of it. We are a collection of practicing real estate individuals. What you're talking is the regulator. You're talking the Real Estate Board that grants, that approves the development and grants the developer a license. Now, there are certain checks and balances that they would have to do one of the things that we realtors know, there's so much happening in the country that the real estate board, I will say this as an organization, needs to be more adequately resourced, as I would say about other state agencies like stamp office, title office. Why do I say that? The amount of transactions, gentlemen, that real estate transactions that we had in, say, 2019, we're now doing 4 to 5 times those transactions in the
Yeah.
same year. So it means that we have to be adequately resourced. So the manpower that could, or that had oversight, that could, regulate a few developments, monitor it in years gone by. You need more manpower, you need more resources.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. I am not making an excuse for anyone, but I'm just saying what will happen in terms of who has the oversight, but also saying what is the reality of fast-paced development happening all right across the country, the impact of it.
There's so much actually blowing up right here, and a question that I want to ask you guys is in regards to the ways how maybe some policies or some sort of programs that can be used to somehow give options for those on lower incomes, like affording housing initiatives, social housing projects, community land trusts, microfinance and housing loans, government subsidy and grants. Are there steps that the government is using then to sort of mitigate what is happening at the same time? Raymond
Well,
or Jeff?
people just want a piece of land, Once the truth is, once you give Jamaicans access to land, they will create their own housing opportunities. A lot of the squatters, I mean, on your way to Ochreas, I'm sure you would have noticed that some of the
Yeah,
so-called squatter communities had massive developments. So what is required is really just to give people a piece of land
yeah,
at a reasonable rate, and they will create their own opportunities. Um, as I mentioned, the Operation Pride developments. Those developments, all the people got, they got, I think, maybe about quarter acre of land, and they have created some massive developments in these areas. So
mm,
that is where we need to start. I'm hearing that the National Housing Development will be starting low income units in Minard. So Minard is going to be the next Draxall this time for
yeah,
Brownstone. So a lot of activities is taking place at Minard at this point. So you need more of those in order to give your hotel workers, your public sector workers, the opportunity to live somewhere.
yeah. Okay, O'Neill. Ladies and gentlemen, I got O'Neill here. O'Neill Cross in the States here. Roger is in Jamaica. Raymond is in Jamaica. I'm in the UK. Welcome, O'Neill. I don't know if you have been listening and aware of the topic that we're talking about here. Real estate developments in Jamaica and the fact that the diaspora, foreign investors are going in, local Jamaicans of a higher level, echelons, are actually buying up some properties and somewhat squeezing um, the tourist workers out of the market, isn't it? Teachers out of the market, isn't it, Raymond? That's what we're saying. O'Neill, any thoughts here?
Well, we don't want to look at the negatives. We
No,
want, I mean, as Roger
you,
pointed out, as Roger pointed out, some teachers have made some good money from what is happening in the sense that, boy, their parents left behind 50 acres and now they are literally bathing in money as a consequence of that. So it's not a negative thing. What we are saying is
yeah,
that since this is happening, we need to create opportunities for these people to own lands, and this is an opportunity now for rural development. Government is always talking about rural development. This is an opportunity for them to basically initiate rural development.
is that Rada or Radam?
Eh?
It's a
Rural
rather or
development.
All
sorry.
right, let me just chime in because
I don't know
I
if O'Neill want to
see,
say. Let O'Neill say hi first.
yes, I see O'Neill with his arms folded, so I don't know if he's.
No, no, I'm just listening. I'm just listening to Mr. Treasurer. Yeah, good to see you again, and Roger, great to meet you. It's the real estate in Jamaica is a topic I'm super interested in, and
Yes,
I think
greetings
we've
again.
talked about it, and I think the topic I'm hearing in terms of as you see the development in sort of real estate, how you ensure that the teachers, the police officers, etc. There's affordable housing, and I hear Mr. Treasurer, in terms of the land. The one question I have that comes to my mind, and if you guys have discussed it already, then we just move on. Is the NHT? As I thought, the National Housing Trust, one of their charter is to provide housing to the police, the low income and middle class income individual in Jamaica. But there's something that I saw that concerned me because I've been looking across different properties in Jamaica, and there's a place in Trelawney, I think I forgot the name of it. The average price of the house is $500,000 US. But if you take those houses and you compare it to what, say, my parents bought in Cumberland probably 35 years ago, they look like the same houses. So
I
the
want to be
question I had
Silver
in my,
Sand. I want to be talking Silver Sand in Duncan's area on close to the beach.
I'm not, it's not Silver Sand, is I forgot, I've never heard about, I just looked at it and I just played out and look around, Roger, on the prices, and I was wondering who are buying those houses.
Um, let me say this. One of the things we have to understand is that persons, they tend to look at what is available wherever they are in the world. So, for instance, when one of them saw what was available in the corporate era, and they said, "Oh, this is about 300,000," but they said, person said to me, if I'm in any major city in Canada or the US, I'll be easily be paying 750,000 upwards. So they are not looking at the price point contextualized with wherever else in Jamaica. They're looking at the quality of the build, the quality of the gated community, the surroundings, accessibility. They're looking at the thing that, hey, I jump in the car and I head this direction in no time. I am at the airport. These are some of the things that they're actually looking at. If we want to talk about unlocking the real estate potential, one of the most exciting things that I've seen happen amongst others here in Jamaica, you know what? The South Coast Highway Improvement Program. Why? Because you have a proper highway that is not a toll road, where each and every Jamaican entrepreneur, persons in private public sector, children going to school, can access point A and B in minimal time. Now, for example, we see stuff going on in Mandeville. What about those communities, gentlemen, between Mandeville and Runaway Bay? Three of us here used to go to York Castle, attend York Castle.
Sorry about that, Roger.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yes. Well, I went on to Monroe after 2 years at York Castle.
You're so crazy. I went to
But I'm
Edwin
just saying
Allen.
this to
Roger,
say,
I went to Edwin Allen. So.
yeah, I'm just saying this to say, and even you, Mr. O'Neill Edwin Allen, you can understand what major upgrade has been done to the road network from Mandeville to Runaway Bay. It's taking persons 2 hours and 40 minutes. We went to high school in our teens. Most of us here are in our 50s. We have not seen any major overall or development. Well, not even close to what we see in the South Coast. Can you imagine somebody wants to develop the property, put up a modest home through NHD and what have you in the hills of St. Ann, but they're just thinking about accessibility, etc., etc. So there are a number of things that can be done in that regard. That's one. Two, you look at, as we said, more incentives in terms of, let me say this, not low income, affordable housing. because one of the things with low income is that people identify it as low quality construction. You know, that's one of the things, that's one of the experiences. We are at a stage in terms of oversight and all, and in terms of construction techniques and construction based material, that we can put up structures that cost less, and the technologies are there in terms of the machinery, equipment, you name it, where we can do so. And with the development of the east-west, you know, the PJ Patterson Highway and now the Edward Seaga Highway, what we have now, gentlemen, is that we have the machinery to do major, you know, to do major excavation, and in no time, erecting, you know, quality communities, affordable at that.
So Roger, what you're saying, it's sort of a layered approach, where the infrastructure in terms of unlocking the roadways. So, for
Yes.
example, if I decide to live in, say, Mandeville, I could get to Kingston for work in 40 minutes, and vice versa, going from Mandeville to, say, St. Anne's.
Yeah, yeah. All right. I mean, think about this. Most of the persons that I know in Mandeville that are in business, right? They are going to Orcharias. Some of them are going there for the weekend on business. Where do you think they drive? They actually drive on the highway
To
you
Kingston
know,
and
to
downtown.
Cayman, and then head back. They are not driving through the hills of St. Anne.
May I say something?
Yeah. Let me just introduce Herbert here. Herbert in the UK as well. He went to not York Castle. He's not from
No,
Montreal.
I went to Galva Macedonia in Cane Fields in Vernon Field.
Okay. Hi, Herbert.
So we
Yeah,
have
you doing?
2 Clarendonians here and 3, you know, St. Anne. Yeah, so go ahead.
Well, one is up for question. I mean, when you say people travel from Mandeville to Orcharias using the highway, could it be that the road linking Manchester with Trelawney and St. Anne, they are not conducive enough for people to use those roads in terms of street lighting and the thoroughfare itself?
It's very windy. It's very windy. It has taken 2 hours and 40 minutes. It was actually said, somebody who is into that on a major scale looked at the terrain, you know, in terms of aerial, you know, cadastral maps, that sort of thing, and said, look here, notwithstanding you bypass the you know, watershed areas, and also you leave the cockpit country, but they're convinced that you can leave Runaway Bay with a highway like what is there in St. Thomas now, you know, Harbour View to Yallas, Morant Bay, and so forth. You can take now 45 minutes, 50 minutes versus 2 hours and 40 minutes from Runaway
But it comes at a cost.
Runaway Bay to Mandeville.
It comes at a cost, because from Angels to Monique, that's $1,400.
Exactly.
Is that where the toll you're talking?
Yes, Angels to Monique, $1,400. So if you're going to travel from Runaway Bay to Mandeville using the toll, you won't be
No,
able to
I
buy
wanted
food.
to correct you, Herbert. Herbert, remember what I said. I said one of the major things, that are the best things that happen, is the South Coast Highway Improvement Project. And I'm talking Harbour View, you know, going to Yallas, Morant Bay, and on to Port Antonio. Why? Because it's not a toll. So when I'm speaking about Mandeville to Runaway Bay, persons have said, we need more of that around the country, like what exists in St. Thomas now, where you have good road infrastructure that the average citizen can utilize. Because what about the farmers? Some of the farmers wouldn't mind, they have better accessibility, and it's going to reduce costs from coming in the hinterlands of Jamaica, coming down to the north coast.
Well, they can get a donkey.
Well, Some would say for the kind of
But
roads they have from the
but
various
Silver,
communities. Yeah.
Sorry. I
Silver,
mean,
the
yeah,
donkeys need good road to walk on too.
well, that's a good point there. I want to move on to something here quickly. But there's a point here that New York City said, and Raymond, you touched on it as well. You said something about lands, and New York City said, I often wonder why the government find it so difficult to give land ownership to ordinary Jamaicans. Seems like they have no confidence in their own people, or is it that there's no payback in it? What is this thing about lands? You know, UDC Crown lands. They're talking about removing the king as the head of state. Um, where are we with these lands? I personally believe that 1962 was a great opportunity to disperse lands to Jamaicans, and I've always said that all the while. But Raymond, you said something very powerful, saying people need a land. Once they get that land, trust me, they will flourish and they can build on it, isn't it, Raymond?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
history has shown that most of our communities, these free villages that's what we call them from a historical point of view. All people got, they got a piece of land. These ex-slaves, they got a piece of land. They created their own opportunities. The squatters who have constructed mansions, all they got a piece of land. They created their own opportunities. So we don't necessarily need government to build houses. Give them the land and they will build better houses than developers. Because what we are seeing, these people are able to collaborate with their peers and they build solid structures. But just give them a piece of land and they'll do the rest.
Well,
Do,
Yeah.
do,
can,
do,
Remember,
Go on, Roger.
even the colonial masters. Remember places like Sligoville, the first free village, the first free
Right.
in Jamaica. Even them saw
So,
the importance that persons must have the dignity of owning their own land, or their own property. One of the things I know the government has done, the whole land registry through LAM, acronym for Land Administration Management Program, inviting persons who have these unregistered parcels, dead left lands that
yeah.
no title was there, but from the grandfather days, that sort of thing to happen. But there is just so much more we realize that needs to happen, because what is happening, parcels of land around Jamaica are getting much pricier. And so what is happening, gentlemen, is that the ordinary Jamaican who barely earns above what you call minimum wage, persons in the civil service, hotel workers, they want a piece of the action. And as I said, too many of our persons migrating, it's primarily because they want the dignity of owning their own home.
So Roger,
well,
so you said something I want to go back to, because and you could correct me here. It seems to me Jamaica has a high density problem, and what I mean by that, there's a lot of people migrate to Kingston, um, Montego Bay,
A
and
second.
out of the rural area. If the theory said the Jamaica make massive investment in fixing the roadway system, like the South Coast one I think you mentioned, then therefore, if I used to live in, Sanguinetti, where I'm from,
Yes.
and I have a piece of land there, now I could go build a house. Now I have the infrastructure to go work in Kingston and come home. And if also the government is saying they're going to put now train infrastructure back in place,
Mhm.
that could alleviate that issue, or those challenges of land ownership.
Yes. Absolutely. One of the things I will say myself and even the realtors we have been saying, we were excited years ago when we were looking at this thing at the logistics hub. You know why? One of the main things we were pushing about it, we felt as if too much eggs, or all our eggs were literally in one basket, where everybody was graduating from high school or graduating from here, leaving here, wanting to go to Kingston and St. Andrew, the corporate era. But we could see if you put a sort of logistics hub, such as a cargo airport at Vernon Field with other the facilities there on the coast in terms of shipping, a rail system between Vernon Field and the ports downtown. Look how much jobs that would have unlocked. Remember the heyday of the bauxite companies, Alcan, Alpart, and so think about St. Elizabeth, think about St. Anne, think about a vibrant and happening Yorktown and places like that. So it's about putting in the infrastructure and ensuring that opportunities are right across the length and breadth of the island. I know all of us here want to see a Jamaica where the person that's born in the middle of Hanover or Westmoreland wants to grow up and don't necessarily want to leave the parish. Why? Because there are many opportunities available for them there, right in that parish and community where they grew up.
And I think that's an important part of the puzzle if you want to solve that affordable issue and land
Let
ownership.
me go back to Roger. Let me go back to 93, Operation Pride. Do you remember that program?
I do. You see, I have a few gray hairs now, so I would remember.
We have been talking about it all night.
If you associate yourself with Silburn, you may not remember because he only knows Ochoias, right?
Yes. I remember many an announcement on Operation Pride, and at the time it was happening, I was then at the Wyndham/Hilton Hotel in Kingston. So, you know, at the time, Prime Minister, Cabinet, other agencies, and so a number of press briefing and functions were there. So I was then a curious youngster in the midst of all of that, you know.
Well, I was serving in St. Elizabeth at the time, right? And that program on paper seemed like it was there for police officers and teachers. But in truth and in fact, it was one thing that was aimed at, I would say, political activists getting their pockets well lined with cash. How can we prevent issues like these in today 2024 from happening?
Let me say this. The problem that I see in Jamaica, let me look at Jamaica and nowhere else. We have regulation, we have policies, we have persons that represent oversight boards and oversight entities. But the question is, what is the level and quality of monitoring? You know, persons seeing, you know, what should be happening. Remember, I had said earlier that persons wanted not just, you know, I'd lost the train of thought. It was more than just having policies and so in place. It has to be, you know, above and beyond the oversight that people feel that there is a level and equitable playing field where all of these things you say happening, you know, across Jamaica. In terms of the affordable housing, that's the question. Yes, it's for NHT contributors, civil servants, but is the intended market or recipients, are they the ones getting them?
But Roger, if I'm to butt in here, I mean, I pass 2 Operation Pride schemes on a daily basis to go to work. And yes, it is true that political activists got portions of land. But what I know is that portions of land were given to the different public sector organizations. So the Police Federation got lots, JTA got lots, which they distributed to workers, nursing association, and so on. So when I pass Dumbarton, for example, there's a massive Operation Pride development before you get to Brownstown. And I'm telling you, it's populated primarily by public sector workers. The same for the Operation Pride lot in Runaway Bay, that is on the other side of Mount Edgecombe. Public sector workers. So I'm not saying that political activists didn't get their share, but the associations, who I must tell you, were also pretty partisan in how they distributed lands to their members. They also got a huge portion, and public sector workers benefited from that particular program. So it is something that we should revisit. I agree. We need to be careful that we don't we should not be careful. We should not politicize. But you know how Jamaica runs. Some politics is going to come in because I mean the activists will be saying, I've been working all this time and there's nothing in this for me. So the politicians will ensure that a few of their activists benefit from projects like these. We can't escape that. In the same way that JTA will ensure that their most active members get lands, or the Nurses Association, the political parties will do the same. But in the end, I find that low income workers benefited from this particular project.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, it's good to know that some low income workers benefited, right? Let's go back to 95, the fiasco down in Flankers, Joe Witter.
Yes.
Prior to that, squatters, if they lived uninterrupted for 5 years, at that point, they were said to be legally entitled to own the property that they live on. Since the flanker incident, it has now been increased to 7, if memory serves right.
I think it's 8, 10 years, something like that. 8, 10 years.
8 to 10.
I remember
Okay.
the even number, yes. But yeah, I remember at the time the flankers issue. I remember the late Mutty Perkins. It was always a matter that was ventilated on his program. I remember Ronnie Twaits was one of the attorneys for the flankers residents. There was a lot of legal back and forth with it over it. You know, my thing in all of that, Herbert and gentlemen, is that with the wrongs and rights of those situations, have we as a nation, have we as legislators, you know, the members of parliament and otherwise, you know, our local government people, have we learned and are we taking the right steps, making the right focus so we can you know, make more positive steps, you know, move more forward than we're moving backward in matters like that.
Lester, good afternoon. Lester, good evening. Lester is in where are you again? Lester, Netherlands or USA? Where are you?
So Lester. Hey, Lester.
Hi, Lester. How are you doing?
What's up, guys?
Hey,
Good.
Let
let O'Neill go on and then Lester, you come in. Yeah.
So I think, Roger, you're bringing up some great point. We can't go back to the past. And just listening before and now, it seems there needs to be some type of legislation or policy around, I think the word maybe dead left land, or land that is in family, folks can't find people. Before I came on this call, I was on a call with someone from Jamaica because there's a piece of land close to a school that would like to acquire, but for the past 15 years, nobody could find who owns whatever. So it seems there needs to be some reform around land, or what you call dormant land, if that's the word we use.
Yeah, there is the whole land registry, and what is happening on the LAMP, they make it very affordable to say, you're not going to have these huge legal fees, because within the government systems, you have the legal persons on the LAMP, which is attached to RADA. It's there in every parish, and they want to account for each and every parcel of land. What does it involve? It involves, okay, you have had somebody on the land, they said to you, is there someone still alive from the days of your grandfather or your father, and so, you know, who can attest that the Sidial family, for argument's sake, occupied these lands? And, you know, it's a process involving steps and what have you. But I must say, irrespective of administration, that there have been positive attempts. I have seen, as a realtor over the past 8, 10 years, especially in the last 2, 3 years, encouraging persons to take that route basically. Because many a persons, why you think they don't want to have the land registered and so? The cost associated with it. And in some instances, the perceived bureaucracy. The perceived bureaucracy.
Lester,
Yeah. Good night again, gentlemen. I've been listening in and out, but Roger made some great points earlier. But even from my own personal experience with my family, my mother wanted to regularize the family land in Old Harbor, and she had to get persons who knew her father and um have it this write a letter that they know that her father, my grandfather, owned this property and they occupied it. And so with lamp and the titles office and the whole um um government agencies surrounding lands, they have been doing a thorough job at ensuring that the right persons acquire these properties. Also, I don't know if it was Roger or Raymond brought up the argument about the COVID during COVID and the property prices held. What my friend at land agency told me is that um, they have seen a massive increase of interest of overseas persons, immigrants, Jamaicans living overseas, now taking up back interest in their own property or wanting property in Jamaica just because of COVID, and also the remote working. Now, because people can work remotely now, and a lot of companies at the time was opting to have person work remotely, there was a flood of persons coming to Jamaica, building properties, staying at Airbnbs, buying homes and stuff like that, and even non-Jamaicans also. So there was a huge uptick in that period of time, and we have seen the construction boom. We have seen where cement companies doing really well. We have seen where the asphalt ran out and stuff like that. This government and successive government, what this government has done with the transfer fees and the stamp duties and stuff like that, it is taking a lot of the burden of persons who want to acquire property or transfer property, and that is a good indication of where the economy is going and where people can afford properties. I've seen where persons under the age of 30, especially women, are acquiring property now, and it is a remarkable look because it's the stability and family and stuff like that, and a lot more persons are opting to live on the outskirts of the corporate areas. We have seen many housing developments in Bernard Lodge, and going back to Clarendon side, and persons who work in Kingston um are opting to live outside. But that also is giving rise to commercial properties now, and where government agencies are going to have to set up outside of Kingston, also agencies and departments outside of Kingston to alleviate the traffic coming into the corporate area or metropolitan areas.
okay, thanks for that. In the last 30 minutes, can we sort of home in onto some key sort of what should I say solutions for persons on the lower strata? Let's say you just mentioned a while ago, like people are getting on the ladder, women and so like that. What are these sort of price bracket and the type of jobs of these persons? Are they fitting within the same lower strata of um, tourist workers, civil servants, teachers? I think that's what we want to talk about, is how we can bring up these persons up to the next level, how they can get lands in
All
order
right.
to start to build.
All right. Let us address an issue there in steps.
Yeah.
We heard our government through the Minister of Finance say that unemployment in recent times is at its lowest at 4%. That is good. We say clap, clap for that. But where we feel saddened is hearing that of all the available jobs, too many of them cannot be filled because the persons don't have the requisite skills, the requisite training, that sort of thing. And I want to say to us that in some instances, in many instances, I have found that is true. The trajectory where the likes of the Caribbean Maritime universities going and others like that that are more technical and skills based is where we need to be. Some of the curriculum that we're looking at in some of the traditional high schools and so we need to look above and beyond this whole thing of MBA, that sort of thing, business administration. We need to look wider. So at the end of the day, persons who have a skill, what is the impact of that? Their salary, their income is going to be higher than minimum wage. These are some of the things that we have to look at. But yes, at the same time, for civil servants, as we have said before, you need to be aware that somebody who has been granted a developer license, that person is not, look at them as a developer. They are an entrepreneur. They are investing huge sums of money in acquiring that property. So they are saying, what maximum returns can I get from that? You, the government, on the other hand, you are the largest holder of lands in the country. You can do what you need to do to ensure that the persons who are in need, a sort of revamp modern day operation pride, that you know the intended recipients are the ones getting it, whilst we prepare a new skilled workforce and labor force for the many opportunities that will abound on Jamaica's landscape.
Mm.
Silburn, before I go into the salary scale of persons, right?
Yeah.
Herbert said something earlier. Um, for the squatter rights, it depending on whose land you're on. So if it's private land, I think it's 10 years or 12 years. If it's government land, I think it's 60 years, right? But even so, you have to prove that you are consistently living on the property, consistently showing interest in the property, paying taxes, and all that. So it's not just a easy just because you have been living on the land. There's also a series of things that you have to do, and even so, it is still not a surety that you will acquire the property after that. But
Mm.
um, I'm glad that that point brought up a while ago about the skills. I've said on this program many times, Silburn. I wish the government, and I've spoken to several persons in government about it, and I think they're kind of scared to move forward with certain things. Heart Academy skills, we should start putting from 9th grade up to 12th grade, right? In high schools, the Heart Academy skills vocations, so that when a student reaches 18, 19, and in 12th grade, he's leaving at a supervisory level. I've said that tirelessly on this program, right?
Mm.
So when a student leave with 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 subject, and he still has to go then to another institution to get skill because
Mm.
he can't find a job in the area that he has, or the jobs are so saturated that it's not paying enough. So we as a country have to look at what is needed in the workforce. No, plumbers. I was speaking on a platform last night. Plumbers are in short supply in Jamaica, especially industrial plumbers, right? When you look at welders and when you look at AC technicians, listen to me. For all those who are listening, you as a poor person, right, or a middle income earning person, if you take on any one of these three skills, plumbing, AC technician, or welding, right, you can turn yourself into a very successful person. Not only that, they are looking for female also in this area.
Mm.
There's a shortage of female in these vocation areas, right? So there's a lot of work to be done also, and we have to move away from the old type of thinking in terms of how you educate your society. We
Mm.
have to look at what the world is demanding, what the world is turning into, right? And I'm telling you, these things are in short supply. I had a meeting last year, me and Vita, with the former mayor of St. Anne's Bay, and he said to us, if you guys are going to build now, because in 3-4 years time, The price for construction workers are going to be so high because of the high demand on construction workers, and they keep pushing up their prices. And he said that, listen, start building now because it's the cost for construction, the workers are going to be like super high.
So,
Let's
so,
start.
so I want to say something. So somehow, I don't know, 20 years ago, we decided to get rid of the secondary schools, right? The secondary schools, even some of the comprehensive high schools, had all trades. My brother is a builder in Jamaica. He went to Spalding Secondary School. That's where he learned this trade. He came out of Spalding a builder, and they have their follow-on apprenticeship. Somehow that model changed, and I'm not sure why that model was changed. Edwin Island, where I went, they had similar programs. Somehow those models had changed, and we're here today, right? And if you just look at Germany and other places, they've kept their apprenticeship program. Somehow we got rid of that, Roger. And I think, Raymond, you're the principal here. Somehow we have to figure out how to get those trades back, because you had a significant amount of young people who left these schools that went into jobs as plumber, welders. Half of my family who are in those spaces, they went to these secondary schools. And I can tell you most of them probably make twice the money that I make in Jamaica because of what they're doing. There's some,
The truth is,
from a
the truth is, uneven, Lester.
perspective, Roger, we
Yeah.
have
The
to
truth
get
is,
back, and Mr.
the
Trent,
truth is,
we have to get back to that.
Yeah.
right. If I may
Yes,
come in here,
Yes,
Raymond,
Yes.
Raymond, before you come, Raymond, I
right.
just wanted to say this. Remember, it's not because it's my dad, but remember the then Marcus Garvey Technical High School, Sundance Bay. One of the things I remember as a child used to have a lot of practical. I remember him getting laid on those mechanic, those huge machines
Right,
from
right.
outside companies, and from Reynolds and Kaiser at the time. They would have persons coming in and giving a little mentor demonstration how to use that. They were strong on putting out electrical engineers. At the time I buried my father, I saw a number of persons, past students, and said, visionary, because he said, guess what? By the time I went to US, became an adult in my career, and so I can own 2 homes there and own a home back in Jamaica because I have a skill.
Mm.
And I think we need to go back. We are too theory driven. So,
Well,
no disrespect to the persons with the MBA and the business administration, but I think we have put our eggs in a basket where that, and we need to look wider, as some of us here are saying, whether with Edwin Ali, whether with other technical schools that we're seeing. Now, also what you're doing, Raymond, because
Yeah.
I was saddened when we came up with Windows 98, when the world embraced Windows 98. You were having persons, institutes here teaching people how to use typewriters,
Mm.
and
gentlemen,
we had not the memo that we needed to evolve. So these are some of the things we need to look at to
Yeah.
say the courses what we're offering, is it relevant today? Is it going to allow us to develop a skilled, trained, and ready workforce to take on the demands of the respective professions and careers?
Raymond,
gentlemen, we need to.
Right, right.
sorry,
The,
Raymond was.
the, the truth is, the schools want to offer these programs. In fact, in a few months from now, I am sure my York Castle past students will be very disappointed because government will be pulling basically to help to roll out some of these programs in the school system. The challenge we're having, though, the challenge we're having is that yes, we want to introduce plumbing and all the technical programs we are referring to, but we can't find people to train the students. Um, if you check on Micro and all the technical teacher training schools, they will tell you that they may have about 5 or 6 teachers in training, and when those teachers have graduated, they are not necessarily going into the classroom. So schools want to offer those programs, but we can't find instructors for those programs. In fact, we cannot afford them. because industry is pulling those people. Apart from that, those courses are very expensive to deliver, as against delivering history, business, and those things. To run a building construction course, you're talking about up to $10 million to source the equipment required. So schools go for the easy things. So until we get that kind of support from government, one to pay the technical instructors more, and then you're going to have GTA making noise to say, oh, they are teaching the same things. But if I bring in an air conditioned technician, I cannot pay him the same thing that I'm paying a history teacher. When the hotel down the road is prepared to pay him 5 times, is that the same that salary? So these are some of the challenges. But as I said before, government wants to go back there. And Roger, it's interesting that you have made that point. Marcus Garvey asked me to do a presentation the other day, and that was the point I made to them, that Marcus Garvey High School or Marcus Garvey Secondary School was far more impactful than Marcus Garvey Technical School, because Marcus Garvey Secondary was supplying industry with far more workers than the technical school is supplying now. The reality is we cannot find teachers who are willing to come in and teach for this salary. Why would I want to come in and teach for less than 200,000 when I can make that in a day?
Yeah.
But gentlemen, we need to look at the mindset of everybody involved, the students, the teachers. When HART was created in 1982, it was meant for what it said it would be. Teaching people to get into the services. You had Ebony Park, Runaway Bay. Runaway Bay was for tourism. Ebony Park was for the industrials, the carpenters, masons. But over time, things has changed. And so things change, so too are the mindset of the people who should be benefiting from it. No longer do they want to go to these institutions. All they want is a smartphone and a computer. They're going to shopping.
So I don't know if it's a, Herbert, I don't know if it's a mindset. There was some policy decision that was made to get rid of the secondary school. Someone made that decision.
I think that was wrong.
No, I'm not saying right or I'm just someone made that decision.
Yes.
20 years ago.
Because
and we're linking, because the reason I'm saying is I don't think it's mindset. If I need a plumber right now, it's going to cost me $300 an hour, minimum 2 hours, right? Even if they just change a washer or do something, minimum $300, right? So somehow that mindset was infiltrated into our kids that says, whenever that policy was made 20 years ago, you don't need skill set anymore, right? You need the bio law, you need math, you need everything. You need the thing that's going to get you an MBA, etc. Right?
A certain minister.
Right. I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't know who made that decision. I'm just saying that
A
was
certain former prime minister last year in an interview. He said, when they decided to upgrade the primary schools to high school, that was a wrong policy, because finding students who couldn't manage grade 1 to grade 5 suddenly are in high school. Right? No provisions were made for them to continue at basic level before putting them into high school. Hence, the reason why we're having that drain in Jamaica now, where we cannot find plumbers, good electricians, even good hairdressers. Because everybody's now going to a high school. There's no proper feeder program.
But Herbert, if we cannot find instructors to deliver it, we can't deliver those programs. At York, for example, we are a traditional high school. We are offering City and Guilds mechanical motor vehicle maintenance, we offer construction, we offer the city and guilds, engineering and electronics. However, we are lucky because we're on the coast, and in fact, I have a returning resident in the motor vehicle maintenance. But the other schools, they want to offer these things, but they can't find instructors for it. So that's the real issue. It's not that the schools were asked to stop. The problem is they cannot find teachers to deliver it.
That I understand. I understand that, Raymond. But you also have to have the motivation of the students to want to engage in it.
All right,
And what I'm saying,
we've gone over into another zone there, and when to wrap up, we've gone into
No,
another zone.
still,
Yes,
what Herbert is saying is
yeah.
something that I was to text you about that very thing that Herbert is saying. This week I was to text you that we should have a discussion on this. You see, what is also killing a lot of uh, 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 businesses is that when you look at the new media and the earning potential on new media, right? There has been a recently concluded um, TikTok World Cup where two or three of our most prominent Jamaican TikTokers or social media influencers in just one night made almost 60,000 US dollars, right? Just a few hours, right? They had a part two recently for smaller social media influencers, and they made about 40,000 US dollars. Now I know persons in Jamaica who they're on TikTok every day and Instagram every day, and they get the lions and they get the gifts and stuff like that. And people are making $30,000 a day. Now, when you have persons like and there's a lot of people in Jamaica, right, who are on social media making that type of money. And I'm just talking about just playing the games and stuff like that. And you have other persons who are doing other type of activities on social media and they're making even more money. So how will you then convince or influence youngsters who are seeing this, who are in high school, to say, hey, take up a vocation, take up a skill? It is very difficult.
Yeah. The point is very clearly taken there. However, that is another topic still, as
Yes,
sense of the different vocations or so vis-a-vis sitting down and going on TikTok and social media, because that is another expertise. I want to just complete the show really in regards to look at the solutions in the sense of the housing issue there. There's a point here which is talk about um, the Jamaican government and various private organizations have implemented programs to address the housing needs of low income individual and families. These initiatives may include subsidized housing schemes, rent to own programs, and public housing projects aimed at increasing access to affordable housing. Is that something which is working, Roger or
Um,
Raymond?
I wanted to give, I was on it for a little. Raymond, you wanted to go first, so you're there?
Yeah.
All right.
No, it works. As I said before, a number of the civil servants in St. Anne, hotel workers who own homes in St. Anne now, they got it in that way.
Yeah.
Roger knows the housing scheme in Lewis. That's where we grew up. A number of his friends grew up there. It was a government project that provided low income housing to workers, public sector workers, hotel workers. So these projects have worked over time. So we don't even have to go back. We don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Real.
These projects have been implemented and they have worked.
Yeah.
Um, I give you an example of you mentioned when we just started the program. You said something about bringing in teachers from Clarendon and Kingston and so on. We are able to do that at York Castle. because the Methodists, when they constructed your castle, built a lot of houses, and they got missionaries at different points, even after we left, to put up apartments. Apartments in Brownstown rent at up to 30,000, 40,000. We rent two-bedroom apartments to teachers with families for $12,000 in order to keep teachers in the system. So we need initiatives like these where even the churches can get involved, because churches, Roger will tell you, the Methodist owns hundreds of acres of land in Tenants Bay, which squatters took away. Some of the churches can get involved in some of these projects where they actually lease lands to workers as part of their ministry to the community. So there are different ways, I think, to provide opportunities. And many schools are actually doing that now by renting housing at a very, very low rate in order to keep teachers.
Yeah. And Roger, sorry, you're there, Roger.
Yes, I'm here.
Second one is some real estate developments in Jamaica focus specifically on providing housing for marginalized or disadvantaged, such as informal settlers, squatters, or residents of inner city communities. These projects often receive government support or funding from international aid. Is there something that the real estate development or some of those guys are doing specifically on providing housing, especially for those settlers, squatters, or so residents of inner city communities, to your knowledge, or something that people can tap into?
Make no mistake here. There's a plethora in Jamaica of developers who are equipped in terms of their training and especially the experience to deal with it. What can happen simply is that they are incentivized by government to do so, right? Government can say, here is the land, here are the guidelines, here what we're working with, and you know, not to mention the architects that can look at it and say, no, we shouldn't be offering persons even for what you say, affordable housing, a one-bedroom house. That is redundant. We frown upon that. 2, 3 bedroom, you have an architect, you have a contractor, that sort of thing. Government provides incentive there, and before you know it, there is a bit of equity or balance there where persons of a certain, you know, income strata are not feeling left out, like I am the bastard child, so to speak.
So Roger,
Go on.
here's an idea for you. And my numbers might be off, but the last time I checked, there's probably about 300,000 folks employed in the tourist sector, right? Probably generate about $4 or $5 billion a year. Most countries do it. You add a fee. Every hotel you go in, there's a $1 fee or whatever the fee is. And that money is then used to set up infrastructure and housing people who work in that industry. If you're able to do that, that can alleviate the other sectors, right?
I won't tell you from which quarters, but somebody said that because you have good housing and these are second and third homes for persons and they're used for Airbnb rather than others. Somebody had actually said, I was in a group and they said, what if part of the Airbnb local fees was a $1, $2 or whatever fee that goes towards housing or something of that nature?
So Roger, sorry, I'm talking the hotels.
The hotels included.
Yeah, because they get a tax break, right? Remember, the hotels get a big tax break for a number of years. So if I add $1 when I stay at a hotel, and you take that $1 to then improve the infrastructure, then whatever the government is spending, they don't have to spend in the tourist infrastructure anymore. They could spend it with the teachers and the police.
These are some initiatives, O'Neill, definitely, that governments can actually look at, because I think we all realize, government, everybody, that there's a need for that. We are fully aware that next year, when is it, November, sometime next year, Elections are constitutionally due. It is interesting that persons from every parish, every community, you hear the discussion, the murmurs about housing for all, that sort of thing. They're seeing improvements. When I say improvements, a new development going, they say ribbons being cut, swanky new places, a new hospital, a remodeled police station, and they're saying, so what about housing? You put up a new block at the school, that school can take now additional students. What about the housing?
And and finally, question to everyone out there: do you think that the government, in a way, should formulate? Let's say I'm just muting it a bit. I hear some kind of disturbance there. Um, um, so the government somewhat formulate policies in a certain way to assist the shortfall, in a sense, not giving handout, but the shortfall in the sense of making amends to the lower strata of persons who are having it difficult to get on the housing ladder. Should there be encouragement in a way, just like even in the diaspora, when people came to the UK, they couldn't find any place to live, no cats, no dogs, no blacks, and then they had to get houses for themselves, and they had to build houses, not build houses, but pull together and to buy properties. Is that something that people need to do as well with their NHT drawdown? They need to, come together and build
Yeah.
properties.
The question is, what more NHT can do in the light of what is there. What we have seen as realtors is that you see combine a pool, persons combining for the benefit pool, what NHT has to offer, and it's not spouses. You've seen situations where it's a mother and daughter, that sort of thing, or a son and mother. You'll be amazed at how many transactions that we are seeing, similar thing, where it's not a spousal couple, it's a parent and child, that sort of thing. Or I've
Yeah.
even seen an instance where it's a grand aunt and niece in the midst of that combined benefits.
Yes. Yes. And I put that to Lester and then to Herbert and Raymond. You can wrap up after O'Neill. Lester, what's your take on that point there?
Um, the problem is not so much the finding or building the houses. I think that we have to be very proactive and very aggressive in how our cities and our towns are laid out, right? Kingston, with so many prime property towards the waterfront, should not have these garrisons. We have to get rid of the garrisons, right? Kingston may be the only city in the world that is laid out like that, where prime real estate towards the sea, the water, is not occupied by the affluent, or not occupied by persons who have the greater resources, right? It is the lesser resources, and it is a chokehold around the development of Kingston, right, as a major city. Secondly, we have a water problem. I didn't hear anybody speak about this so far on the panel. We are building all these housing schemes, all these private developments, all these government development, and yet still we are not addressing the water distribution problem in Jamaica. 'Cause Jamaica don't have a water problem per se. We have a water distribution problem, and it is a money thing. It is squarely a financial thing. Certain persons are benefiting hugely from the distortion of water supply.
Mm,
So,
mm.
Water harvesting and distribution. I had said initially, about infrastructure. Yes, I could have mentioned, water specifically as such. But, aside from commenting here, Jamaica, land of wood and water, when we look at certain communities, areas, and they have predominant rivers in the parish, and you say, how can this parish have an issue with water? It's two things: harvesting and distribution. I heard the National Water Resources or Authority saying that when we have rainfall, unlike other countries, we barely harvest, if so much. We don't even harvest 10% of our rainwater or storm water when you see the amount. It is really sad.
Yeah. Okay, Herbert,
There-
and
I'm
then O'Neill.
I'm going to always say that the politics, the politics factor should be removed from issues such as housing. For far too often, the question is, what is in it for me? That should be removed. The people who needs it most should be considered, right? The teachers, the young people trying to create a family, they should be looked after. If
Mm,
those people are not looked after, the country cannot progress because we have to look at the GDP and what those people bring to the table.
yeah.
so
Okay,
I would
thanks.
say
And then O'Neill. Yeah.
two things. One, someone need to figure out how to relocate the Jamaica Defense Force headquarters from where it is.
The Jamaica. Did you say what? The Jamaica?
The Jamaica Defense Force headquarters. That should be removed somewhere else. That's prime development land that you could leverage for other things. The second thing in this, Raymond, in the real estate transaction process in Jamaica, somehow we have to figure out how to get when closing is 30 days, it's 30 days. Right now, when you try to acquire property in Jamaica, you don't have a sense of when. And each time there's not a, here are the 10 things you need. It's always, I need this, I need that. No, give me more, give me more. So somehow that process has to be streamlined, and there's a lot of technology you could apply to it. I have friends who were in May, they put let's see, October is when they started their process, and they're still going through. And we're in May. In the US, when I buy a property, I could close within 30 days. So somehow we have to fix that.
Fantastic. And Raymond, finally.
Right. So I've been saying this all evening. We have given bauxite company lands to mine. We have given the Chinese lands in exchange for um, highways, highway construction. Give the people the land. That's all they need. They don't even need the house. Give them the land and they'll create their own opportunities. I've seen it happening on the North Coast. And once that is done, that is it. They're happy
They
with
need
just the land.
they need a leg up. They need a leg up.
Mhm.
I just throw this one in the spoiler before we wrap up. And Raymond, sorry, Roger, what's going on with these gated communities, and police are now complaining so they can't get into these gated communities?
Because that's what it's gated communities.
It's a whole sense of security. And I've known an instance where police want to check out something, and even the security there are trained because they said, "Do you have a warrant?" And in one instance, I'm aware of asking the police, "Do you have probable cause?" That sort of thing.
So therefore, if there are 50 properties inside that gated community and they want to do their investigation, whatever, they have to go through that security personnel there to get that warrant before they can go in. And then
some security, depending where it is,
No.
it may be difficult. But the strata communities, basically, they are to comply with law enforcement. But there are a number of legalities that that basically the strata management at these communities, they are getting legal advice because they have to set it up a way. There's a bit of monitoring with it. There's just a lot happening. But the primary issue they're dealing with a number of strata communities is this. You have so much, and it's just getting persons to contribute their portion of strata fees. There are so many things we could discuss.
Herbert, you wanted to say something there too. You wanted
Yes,
to come
the,
right.
the thing is, Silburn, that the police must move with the time. The police for far too long has been working from behind. They need to do more in terms of groundwork, how to gain access, the legal ramifications,
Yes.
and when they're going to a property, walk with their warrant. Don't just go with word of mouth. People
Yes.
people have now become sensitized to this warrant business
Yes.
and are
Yes.
finding themselves in lawsuits or will find themselves facing lawsuits from residents if the police breach your property. So the police need to be one step ahead in their investigations.
Within
listen-
reason, if there's an incident there that involves death, bodily harm, that sort of thing, what is considered an act of crime, yes, you cannot hinder them, you cannot prevent them, mark you. But for the most part, I haven't been hearing that if they visit 100 communities, gated communities, that 20 of them are denying them access. I haven't heard that sort of statistics to share with you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, guys, I want to thank you so much for coming on. Roger, big respect, second VP, Realtors Association of Jamaica, and also Raymon, Treasurer, Principal of
Prime
York
Minister.
Castlelite, Prime Minister of York Castlelite,
And Promise of Otrius, yeah?
of York Castlelite School, blogging God, Leicester, straight out of Netherlands there, and Herbert, Musket, Mashet,
Mushet.
straight out of
Mushet. My face a lot.
Must
Must be a Castleman.
and only across, over in the States there, trying to make sure that Biden is standing. What's going on with that university, right, in Columbia there? Only what's going on with Biden? Is he, what's going on there?
What time is it now? It's bedtime.
Well, I want to say, especially for the UK now, you must have heard that the Conservatives have been wiped out. Mayor Sadiq Khan is back in power. Birmingham has been lost from Conservative to Labour. Labour just wiped out everything. So I think maybe it's time for Rishi Sunak to just say, listen, I'm going to sleep, you know what I'm saying? And I want to thank Valerie Roberts, Veronica Tate, and all the different persons, New York City, Alfred Henry, and everyone else, those on TikTok and those. Listen, tomorrow night, that's if you guys can join me, I'm going to have Matunda McCullough. We're going to be discussing about the latest in Jamaica regarding the DPP. We're going to touch on constitutional reform because the Malahu Fort, the Minister of Constitutional Affairs, has said now, she has said the recommendation is going to be for a non-executive president. And they're just getting the paperwork signed up for all the different committee members to sign it up. And that's the recommendation. And I think they're maybe even moving towards keeping the Privy Council or so. So we're going to talk about that, and also the Integrity Commission, because there have been discussions about the IC, whereby they said this. Delaware Chuck is saying, I want to see the 6. Why is the IC keeping the 6? And Ed Bartlett is saying there need to be discussion. My view now is saying, listen, tell the whole nation who these people are, because just when they came and they wanted to run for office, they came to the people to run for office. So might as well just tell the whole nation who the people are and let the chips fall. Keep it clean, and very transparent and very accountable. That's my view. I just want to shut down on that one there. All right. So tomorrow night, that's 9 o'clock with me and Matunda McCullough as well. All right. Peace out. All the best.
Nice meeting you, everyone. Nice meeting you.
Gentlemen, nice sharing with you viewers.
Yes.
Bless you
Thank
all.
you, Roger. Thank you, Raymond. Thank you, guys. Peace out. All right, Lester. Yes.
Yeah, big up my wife, Vita.
Big up Vita. Big up Vita every time.
Well, you have to do that, okay? You get children, Lester.
Oh yeah, Roger. He has to do that before he gets kicked out.
Okay, yes. All right.
Yeah, Roger. He has to take care of the Minister of Home Affairs.
Yes. I know my role,
All right, guys. Listen, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Cheers.
Yes, yeah. Good.
Yeah. All right, Roger. Peace out.
Take care. Yeah, peace out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. All right. Cheers. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much again for joining on the show, and for those also on TikTok, those on Facebook, those on Instagram. Thank you so much, and let me hear your views as well as much as possible. Remember to like and share. And tomorrow night, if you want, you can join me tomorrow night at 9 p.m. It's a bank holiday in the UK. Just to let you know, it's a bank holiday in the UK. So therefore, Nobody's going to work on Monday. A bank holiday is when the banks open and where people can just go inside there and just take the money that they want. That's what a bank holiday is. Just kidding. All right. So God bless you and take care of yourself. Remember to like and subscribe to the Silburn Show. And peace out and see you around next time as well. Thank you.